What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee just released a new season of episodes on Netflix, hosted, of course, by the one and only Jerry Seinfeld. A show that started a long time ago, 11 seasons now. Basic premise, Jerry goes on a car ride with a comedian friend of his. The car is based off of Jerry's idea of the comic. So the car is related to the comedian that he's driving around. And they go drive around, have conversations, go get a cup of coffee. And it's just, it's basically like a podcast in a way, an edited podcast where Jerry is having conversations with friends of his, people that he knows and respects from the comedy world, whether it be from the stand-up comedy world or comedic movie world. And this season, no different. Had some big guests on this season. Of course, Eddie Murphy being kind of the standout for me. I saw the clip on All Things Comedy where they shared a clip from the show, from the episode with Eddie Murphy, where he discusses wanting to do another comedy special. But for me, I mean, I'm a huge comedy fan. I've become a huge fan of, I mean, I've always been a fan of stand-up comedy, but really getting into the art form of comedy and understanding what it takes for comedians to get to grow as a comedian, to grow in that art form, and to all the different kind of avenues that can be taken from comedy, whether it be writing or acting or just doing many different things that comedy kind of open the doors for, as it were, or the people that stick with comedy and purists with stand-up comedy. So I enjoy listening to conversations that comedians have. I love listening to just the similarities that they have coming up in comedy, going from open mics to, you know, featuring for people, starting to go out on the road, and then, of course, getting more fame, more notoriety, a bigger audience, a bigger following, and headlining your own shows, and going from clubs to theaters to arenas. It's if you're a fan of stand-up comedy, we're living in the golden age of stand-up comedy, where there is avenues for so many people to express themselves through that form of art, form of entertainment, and I love it. So getting Eddie Murphy, who is one of the old school kind of classic, not old school, but he's kind of an anomaly in the comedy world, where he started super young, similar to like a Dave Chappelle, started super young and had just exploded early success, Raw and Delirious. I believe he was like in his 20s, early 20s when he recorded those, which is kind of ridiculous. The rule of thumb, kind of the standard for stand-ups, is a lot of the times it takes about a decade before you get good and start to get traction. And usually your first special you might shoot after around the 10-year mark. And it's material that you've been working on for a decade, trying to perfect and hone and shape and mold and cut away the fat and really, really sharpen the blade, as it were, before recording it. And Eddie Murphy, I mean, partly because he started so early, but also he was just a phenom in stand-up comedy, was able to find extremely early success doing stand-up, and then kind of stopped. He did movies. I mean, he's been doing movies forever, and even his movies have kind of gone downhill. I mean, he's done so many great movies, but definitely over the past, I mean, probably the Shrek franchise were the last movies that Eddie Murphy was in that were decent. I can't remember a good Eddie Murphy movie that's come out since like the 90s, or at least early 2000s. It's been a while. And now he's in talks to do a comeback special, which I'm super excited about. And he mentions in his episode, having what it's going to take to go and build a new hour, going back into the clubs and just doing it. And it's interesting. He also, Jerry Seinfeld also gets on Seth Rogen, which is funny. Seth Rogen kind of thought he wanted to be a stand-up, and there's a YouTube video of like an early stand-up set that Seth Rogen did, and he was hilarious. But fell more in love with the writing and creating of movies, comedy movies, and I think TV shows. So it's interesting getting Seth Rogen on there. Ricky Gervais makes another appearance on the show, this time a different car. It's a 2-part episode, but Ricky Gervais is a hilarious guest on the show. Matthew Broderick, of course, from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, as well as stage and theatrical performances. Jamie Foxx, who is probably one of the most well-rounded entertainers, who's also like he comes from stand-up comedy, but has the ability to he can do anything. Jamie Foxx is like old school Hollywood entertainer kind of human being, where he's able to do many different forms of entertainment, from comedy to music to impressions to acting to he has this huge diversity when it comes to his comedic talents. And it's just really fun to see these comics get together and have fun, and it makes me happy, and I enjoy watching the show. So I binged the season. Melissa Villaseñor is another hilarious episode on the show. Martin Short, of course, is on this season. Sebastian Maniscalco comes back. They ride scooters. They ride Vespa scooters around town. But just a fun show. I don't know if I've watched all of the episodes. I first started watching on Crackle, which is Sony's kind of free movie streaming platform, and had some shows on it. And then when it came to Netflix, I think it might be like the 5th season that's on Netflix, or 5. They call them collections, I think. But just a great show, a fun show, just easily bingeable, just fun, entertaining, kind of interesting path that Jerry has gone from doing Seinfeld, and then just kind of not doing anything for a while, until doing this. And, now he's doing this show, and I enjoy the show, and it's good stuff. So go watch if you haven't already. It's just a really fun show to watch. Comedians in cars getting coffee, just simple premise, simple just conversations, edited, funny, good stuff. New episodes of this show, The Ray Taylor Show, come out every day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go buy my artwork, original paintings by me, over at InspiredDisorder.com and save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED. At Ray Taylor for me on all social media. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!